My name's Jack White. I was born in Alexandria, Virginia, June 26, 1953. I started at AMA in fall of 1967. I left after spring of '69. I'm married to Susan Murdoch. Been married 25 years, and I split time between Matthews County, Virginia, and Arlington, Virginia.
Previous high school that you went to?
Fort Hunt High School.
Brothers and sisters?
3 sisters, Ann, Buffy, and Susie. 2 older, 1 younger. My mom, Betty Parker White. My dad, John T. White II. He was a staffer on Capitol Hill, served many notable Virginians. He was actually with Richard H. Poff at the time that I attended AMA. I got a little bit of special treatment. That period of time was pretty tumultuous. I started Virginia Tech in fall of '71, and I tell people I had the highest GPA on my hall, and I was on academic probation. We all thought we were going to get drafted and sent to Vietnam. It was helter-skelter, and I was 7 years out of undergrad before I went to law school. Had a great time, no regrets. It took some time to get on focus. I have a house in Arlington. I have a house in Matthews County, Virginia. I gave up my law practice to bring back the oyster in the Chesapeake Bay. So I drive up one night a week and spend the night with my wife, who's got about 6 years more before she can retire. So she comes down on the weekends. Who'd have thought?
Do you happen to remember or recall how AMA was chosen?
I think that I was just a normal questioning youth, but there were some authority issues, and I realized my dad used to always say, son, when you turn 14, you start a permanent transcript of your life. And he says, why you can go into a union job or something and hit a certain critical mass, unless you go seek higher education, you're basically limited. So that was important, but Jackson Prentice, class of '68, was dating my sister Buffy, and he came and I was impressed, but I realized that, if I walked into Fort Hunt High School to start, I had a target on my back. And I said, Dad, I think I need to go to military school, so I came here voluntarily.
Do you remember your first couple days?
They didn't have uniform pants for me, so I had to wear my civvy pants, and if you appreciate, back in the day, the style was high water so that you could show off your matching Adler socks. And there's a picture in the yearbook with me standing at attention, somebody playing with my hair before Benny the Butcher got me. And homesickness and new stuff. Jimi Hendrix' Purple Haze was playing in the barracks, and it was quite a time. We had to walk in a brace on the stoop, and learning to march was something else. I had a tough time with it.
Do you remember your first squad sergeant?
Chuck Moss. He was a tyrant. So he was from Norfolk. And what can I say? I persevere. One of the incidents that happened very early on, of course, we had Commandant James Christie, West Pointer, and some guys, somebody had, I don't want to say overdosed, but somebody had gotten some drugs and gotten sick, and they realized that there was pot in the school. And Colonel Christie got up in the big room and gave us a lecture. These guys out there, they actually call themselves the same thing that we call our toilets. They call themselves heads. So a number of our command, our ranking corps were busted and started that out. And we're on the Blacktop marching tours.
Did you ever march tours?
I did march tours. I marched quite a few tours, actually. So it was really neat. I actually learned how to march because we'd be out there on Saturdays and nobody, everybody else was in Stanton or something, and we'd do different marching formations and different drills. And these were officers that were still marching tours from the pot bust. So I learned to march out there on tours.
Do you remember your first roommate?
I had two, Joe Wright from Baltimore, Maryland, and Joe Amadeo from Binghamton, New York. Joe was a legacy. His big brother, Rocco, had just graduated the year before. He was a lacrosse goalie. I learned about lacrosse. I had no idea what that was. It was really amazing because Joe was from Binghamton, New York, and he talked about Virginia being such a backwater. And I had grown up in Alexandria, a pretty urban area. It's just ironic that they were telling me what a backwater and what a hick of a Virginian I was. And I've come to find out that Binghamton's pretty much a backwater.
Do you remember your first squad sergeant or authority figure?
Chuck Moss, my staff sergeant. He was from Norfolk, Virginia, and he was a senior. He just wasn't a very likable guy.
Did you have a special teacher or a favorite subject?
Yes, I did. Colonel Savage, Doc Savage. He was a remarkable man. He taught U.S. history, and I just absolutely loved history. I thought I wanted to be one of Doc's boys, but that might have had some references that I didn't want to be involved with. But I was really happy, and Doc was an instrumental influence in my life.